Hello, YouTube! My name is Scott, and I just got around to watching Cobra Kai. Now, Season 3, Episode 4 is titled The Right Path. And it seems pretty fitting because almost everyone is not on the right path. They do need to seem to find their way back onto it. In particular, there's Kreese, who is still basically teaching Cobra Kai as Fascists Are Us. You know, teaching his students not necessarily to cheat, but to never underestimate their opponent and do whatever it takes to win. And of course, this is manifesting at school, of all places, because Hawk is still not over Moon and decides to wreck Dimitri's science project, a representation of the Valley made out of Legos that he's partnered with Yasmin on, of all people. But Hawk can play, the victim as well as the Cobra Kai kids just well enough so that Sam gets in trouble for defending Dimitri. And all this tends to come to a head after an extremely violent soccer game where the focus is definitely not on the ball, let's say. But, Cobra Kai comes out clean. The Miyagi-Do kids wind up getting in trouble. And by the way, who put them on opposite teams? This was a setup. Come on. Because you got the Cobra Kai kids wearing red jerseys and Miyagi-Do kids not. And it doesn't look like there's any mixing of the dojos. And that's pretty much where that ends. There's not a lot of that. But yeah, none of these kids are on the right path, it seems like. Johnny, on the other hand, kind of. He goes to apologize to Robbie, who's working at a soup kitchen in a way to try to get his sentence reduced. But Robbie doesn't want to talk to him, and that chick who was constantly panhandling outside of Cobra Kai is there, and she's just cringe. And Robbie basically denounces him in front of everybody. And then he gets visited by Kreese, who's telling him that, he'll always be his teacher and that he's, he brought Cobra Kai back, which is great, but then he started teaching the kids the wrong thing. Because, you don't want to teach kids who know karate to fight with honor or anything. But when it doesn't look like Johnny's going to be on his side, Kreese decides to go to juvie to talk to Robbie, so that's going to be interesting, because, he hasn't burned through enough mentor figures yet, right? Let's go with the bad one. And then, of course, there's Daniel, whose pitch to try and save LaRusso Otto didn't work. And while he's there trying to decide what he's going to do, he decides to visit Mr. Miyagi's village in Okinawa. Now, this is mixed with, as you may have guessed, more than a few clips from the Karate Kid Part 2, when that was basically the plot, I think, more or less. The problem is, Tomi Village modernized. It's got a mall. It's got product placement. This episode has product placement out the wazoo. I mean, you see a lot of it before with, Cobra Kai kids hanging out at Applebee's and Johnny constantly drinking Coors. But there's Ben & Jerry's and Baskin Robbins and American Eagle. The only bright spot for Daniel is the Japanese girl he fell in love with, Kumiko, the niece of a woman that Mr. Miyagi was in love with. Now, interestingly, Kumiko is played by the same actress as in the movie, and this was around the same time that she was playing Commodore O in the first season of Picard, so that's cool. The one problem I did have was with the scenes at the high school and these scenes happening at the same time, because the Valley and Okinawa are about 17 hours apart on the globe. So, if it had been, say, noon in California, that would make it 5 in the afternoon in Japan. And I was thinking before now that was kind of a discrepancy, but I could almost see how it lined up at this point. So I guess they were paying better attention than I was. Well, now, Kumiko and Daniel are catching up. He's learning about her life. She's learning about his. I also almost thought there was a discrepancy when he said that he was as old now as Mr. Miyagi was when he met him, because that didn't seem quite right, given the fact that Mr. Miyagi had won a Medal of Honor in World War II and then met Daniel 40 years later. So it kind of seems like, unless Mr. Miyagi lied about his age or something, like, I don't know. I just don't think quite at this point Daniel should be pushing 60. That doesn't feel quite right to me. I don't know. I don't know the math exactly. But anyway, they get to talking, and Daniel feels lost, and Kumiko pulls out these old love letters that Mr. Miyagi wrote to her aunt. And there's one in particular where Mr. Miyagi was talking about Daniel and how, he had welcomed him and made him part of his family, and how he felt like, Sam's grandfather. And it's really nice. You get this shot where somebody's putting slabs of ice in like a tray, and it looks like they're going to kind of recreate that whole ice smashing thing, but they don't. They're just sitting there having drinks and getting a little awkward. Just a little bit, considering Daniel's married. But then right at the end is when his arch enemy from the movie, Chosen, I don't know, shows up. So, I mean, this can't be another grudge that lasted for almost 40 years, right? One would think. I don't know. But, I mean, the next episode's a halfway point. If it's anything like the halfway point of last season, some stuff is going to go down. And you know what? Totally here for it. But anyway, that's what I thought. What do you guys think? How about you leave a comment down below? Like the video, share it around, subscribe if you're so inclined. Hit that bell icon below for notifications when I put another one up. And until next time, I've been Scott, and this has been Just Got Around to Watching, an offshoot of opinions no one cares about. Everyone has opinions. This one was mine.